evening, even though I would also be part of the panelists. So while we proceed, we will be talking about who I'll be introducing our panelists to us. Just a moment. All right. So first, I'll be talking about AHRP, what makes us who we are, our core values. Our core values, of course, include credibility, authenticity, responsibility, resilience, integrity, empathy, and agility. These are our core values as an association. What are our vision statements in AHRP? AHRP is to be the go-to source of competent human resource professionals who redefine the practice. Our mission statement, of course, is creating value for human resource professionals and organizations through coaching, mentoring, and research-based learning and capacity development programs. What are our cardinal mandates? They include to bridge the communal gap that exists between human resource professionals of different cadres, to serve as a platform for learning, capacity development, knowledge acquisition, and experience sharing. So we will be talking about, or I will be introducing our speakers, our panelists to us. First, I have Temitope Abolade. Temitope is a seasoned human resource professional with over 17 years of extensive experience spanning key sectors such as oil and gas, FCMG, manufacturing, engineering, IT, and hospitality. She is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM, and holds an MBA from the University of Lagos. Her career is marked by a strong track record in strategic HR leadership, talent management, organizational development, and operational excellence. Temitope has led initiatives that have transformed workplace culture, optimized performance, and fostered sustainable growth across multiple industries. Her multi-industry expertise combined with a people-centered approach makes her a trusted voice and strategic partner in human capital development. Next, I have Osinachi Emmanuel Ononiwu. Osinachi is a results-oriented HR professional with over a decade of experience spanning healthcare, finance, and corporate sectors in the UK and Nigeria. Currently serving as an HR advisor at ADHD 360, playing a strategic role in driving organizational efficiency, talent acquisition, workforce planning, and employee engagement. His career includes impactful roles with NHS England, CFAX Group, Alpha Mid Group, and Stanbic IBTC Bank, where he led large-scale recruitment campaigns, performance management programs, and HR process transformations. He holds a CIPD Level 5 in People Management and ACIPM. Dr. Lizzie Omojua Oki. Dr. Lizzie is an accomplished senior human resource manager and learning and development manager with several years of successful multifaceted experience in all aspects of corporate management and a proven ability to revitalize organizations, initiate company-wide initiatives, and capture untapped opportunities for growth. Possesses extensive exposure in all areas of human resources that includes, but not limited to, onboarding, compliance, performance and talent management, policy and procedures, recruitment, benefits, employee relations, and employment law. Yeyemide Fabamwo. Yeyemide has had diverse experience across HR verticals and horizontals, including HR business partnering, organization design and effectiveness, and total reward. She has also delved deeply in experiences which involves leading change, and transformation and talent management across various business partnering and expertise roles in Africa and Europe and global. She played an instrumental role in shaping the people agenda for CD in West Africa and Unilever's CD agenda for field sales representation. Dr. Temitope Richard Banji. Dr. Temitope is a seasoned global capital and leadership consultant with over a decade of experience across the UK, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. He specializes in human capital strategy, talent management, HR transformation, leadership development, coaching and culture and change management. He has worked with top organizations including Accenture and Digital, MasterCard Foundation, Deloitte, Leap Africa, Access Bank, and Domestic and General Insurance, leading initiatives that transform work culture, drive strategic change, and enhance talent practices. His work spans sectors such as financial services, retail, non-profits, FCMG, public sector, international development, and media. And lastly, we have Albert Serafin, ACIPM. Albert is a highly motivated people engagement and culture specialist with close to a decade of diverse work experience across the aviation, hospitality, and biotechnology industries, coordinating the human resource administrative, learning and professional development of organizations' workforce functions with excellent strategic skills. He has successfully led initiatives that reshape organizational culture and create dynamic an inclusive workplace, improving employee well-being, drive engagement, satisfaction, and overall performance. He is committed to driving organizational success through strategic leadership, human capital development, and fostering a high-performance culture. Distinguished professional colleagues, please put your hands together for our speakers. Let us have your virtual applause for our speakers. All right, thank you. Thank you, our speakers. Thank you for joining in this evening. It is a rare privilege. And of course, we are not taking this for granted. So I guess we will kick the ball rolling. So while we start, I would like to um, send this to our facilitators, to our panelists, and I think I will begin with Dr. Temitope Richard Banji. To open, can you briefly highlight for us one or two major trends in HR which you are seeing and why they matter right now? The major trends in HR that we are experiencing now and why they matter.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. Just going straight into the question being asked, what are the trends in HR and why they matter at the moment? I think there's been a lot of conversation around recruitment, talent acquisition, right? And I think it still continues to be an issue. It still continues to be an issue. And I feel like the world has really evolved beyond, the kind of practice that we are still used to in Nigeria, right? It is now much more competency focused rather than, the whole years of experience. People are still looking for first class 2-1 and all of that. I think there's a lot around that has shifted. There's also a lot around what's the word? I think there's a lot around. I mean, there's the talk about the future of work, future of work. What does it really mean to us? You know, are people still waiting for that future, or the future has already caught up with us and we're still, really, really far behind? I think that's still a major trend. that we're talking about at the moment. And then the big piece, which is very much aligned with my space, is in terms of corporate leadership, right? Um, Corporate leadership is something that you know, we can't overemphasize. In the HR space, there is still that conversation around leadership. What is the role of leaders in organization? What is the role of HR leaders in our organizations? We still need to really, really, really dive deep into those conversations of leadership. How we still have, leaders who do not even understand their role, you know, as the performance management champions. We still have leaders who do not understand their roles as the drivers of learning and development. We still have leaders who do not understand their role as the drivers and champions of change and culture. So those are some key conversations that needs, to be had. And I think I'll just stop there. Maybe in the course of the conversation, we can dive more into it and I can explain further. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Temi Tope. I will quickly move to, I'll quickly move straight to um, Abolade. Abolade, I mean, it's been, what will you say? Can you share your personal experience? Can you share your personal HR or workplace experience as it has to do with challenge, lessons, or defining moments, especially that has shaped how you approach the today's work? Now we talked about the now of work. It's no longer. I mean, after COVID, there have been several different phrases attached to. We have the now of work, the future of work, today's workplace, and all of that. So can you briefly just tell us what has been your experiences, in the new world of work? What has been your experience like? Has been your challenge like? The new lessons that have defined your moments in the today's workplace, and what approaches are you taking?
Okay, thank you very much, Albert. Hi, everyone. Good to have you here. And I'm really excited to be here. For me, with my extensive experience, I would say that for the now of work, all right, it is actually good to have both experience. By both experience, I mean the old ways of doing things and now the new ways of doing things. Before COVID, nobody would ever think that anyone could work from home. In fact, in 2020, when we had no choice but to work from home, I was one of the ones that kicked against, because I was not I was not enjoying it. I was already exposed and enjoying seeing my colleagues every day, having to make the decisions with people around. I want to see my MD, I want to see all stakeholders, and everybody is at work. But now we have to now come to where we are looking at each other on the phone or on the laptop. So it was really difficult for me to migrate from seeing everybody at work physically and now seeing them on my laptop. But we had no choice. We had to embrace that change that is staring at us in the face. All right. So I think it's a good thing that I've experienced the old HR way of doing HR and now the new ways of doing HR. And from my experience, I now see that HR is not the same everywhere. All right, from this new way of doing things, from the new era of HR, because I would say it's a new era of HR since post COVID. All right, so there's a new way of doing things. It's not the old way of doing things again. I can tell you that people can be in the same industry and not be doing HR the same way. All right, so now the now of work says that you have to do HR according to the culture of that organization, not according to the old ways of doing those things. And now we don't even have a choice than to embrace these new ways of doing things so that we can be successful in it. Now, also, we have a breed of generations. We have the Gen Zs, and it's really very interesting working with the Gen Zs. Me, I enjoy working with them. In fact, it's much more easier for me, than even the Gen Alphas and even the millennials. Sincerely, I have to be sincere. But now we have the mixture of Gen Alphas. Gen Alphas are still around, and the millennials too are around, like us, like me, for instance, and now the Gen Z. So now we have to embrace working with Gen Alphas, millennials, and Gen Zs at the same time. Do you understand? And now, so we have to inculcate that habit into our everyday life. So it's actually fun, all right? It's actually fun, and I actually look forward to working with everybody. So now, my experience is that of a good one. Some don't have it good, but having both experiences in the old ways of doing things and the now of doing things has actually helped me to shift into the new ways of doing things. And whether we like it or not, these new ways has come to stay, and we just have to embrace it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Temitope Bolade. So it appears we have two Temitope here. So I'm trying to. Okay, thank you so much, Temitope Bolade. Thank you. Yes, it's a new era. Yes, we have the Gen Zs now. You have no choice other than to. We have no choice other than to knowing how to work with them, especially when they come with their various demands. They have a mindset of their own, and of course, we have no choice than having to understand how they also perceive the workplace, how they perceive life generally. We need to understand that and of course learn how to flow with them. I would want Yeye Sani to talk to us about. We've been talking about remote work, the new world of work. It now comes with working hybrid, working remote, and all of that. Please, Yemi, I would like to ask, how do we engage, how do we keep employees engaged, especially for those who work remote? How do we keep remote employees engaged? You want to share an insight on that?
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and it's great to be here. Thank you for that question. I think as Madam Tammy was talking, I was just listening to the insight, and it's so key in terms of, where we are now. It's called hybrid, bringing the past and bringing the present into what we do now. I think the first thing I always think of is when you're creating engagements, activities for employees, is how we design for out of sight right now. So, I remember when we used to do a number, when you want to have trainings, if you say people should come for e-learning trainings before COVID, you would find nobody coming. Everybody would consider, if you ask about career development, if they haven't gone on a physical training where you book an hotel for them, everyone is engaging in physical activities, it's not a learning for them. So I think the first thing we always think about is how do we bring out that site, that design of inclusion, and not just by location. So out of sight, out of mind, but still being very inclusive in things we do. And that also involves, I think a lot of companies now have invested a lot in things like, um, friend hybrid days. If we work team days, if we work 4 days a week, you agree with your teams and say, how do we want to engage and come together, as is very key. I think the second thing I will talk about in terms of creating that engagement culture in this hybrid moment is really making it about the culture of the business. And right now, we have to be extremely intentional about key employee moments. So if you think about the entire cycle, from onboarding to performance management, to engagement, to career development activities, we have to really rebuild the culture of the organization to touch these key moments. So, for example, and something that is very great that we started doing in my company is we have something we call a culture shop, and not calling it a workshop when you want to do things. And that's also bringing that culture of being hybrid, having hybrid coffee chats, for example, hybrid check-in moments, and creating that opportunity for leadership moments, but still in every touch point, you can still feel the culture of the business. Um, One thing I also always share with my leaders as well is that we're very great to talk about things that people need to do better, but also in the hybrid way of working, it is even more key to celebrate wins and successes across channels. Because what happens is that people are not in the office, people are every day, they can't see what people are doing. And if you don't constantly bring people together to celebrate things that are happening, it's easy for the business to feel disconnected, and that is very key. And just building up on that point, I know we as HR, we always say we are the custodians or the catalyst for that culture and engagement. But what I've come to realize is post-COVID, it has to be leader driven. We need to empower leaders to drive these cultural changes and drive these hybrid moments. It's not going to be a HR activity, but managers and directors and leadership teams have to come together as culture carriers. So, for example, as HR, how do we ensure we're building those opportunities for people to lead virtual teams or lead hybrid teams, create those tools, how are we checking well-being, how are we checking engagement points, how do we also bring little playbooks, it doesn't have to be we don't have to spend our time crafting those playbooks for one size fits all, but let each leader be able to bring out what it means for their team into each team. So that's also the way of creating that inclusivity. Just to touch on what Madam Tami's words were, actually, we're living in a world where we have multiple generations, 4 generations, you can imagine. If people say I don't want calendar invites in my calendar's on Friday, but you have another version of generation who is so key and used to talking. One thing I've done with the teams I partner is how do you create those little team chatters? And what team chatter is similar to just creating those inclusive moments for teams. What makes the team work? And I think this little actions helps drive. And where we play a key role as HR is how do we stay connected to these insights and loop it back in. So not just giving the activities have to make a difference, right? But as HR, how do we leverage, analytics, data surveys that we already do, but then channel the conversations to more purpose-driven activities. So I think I'll stop there for now, but we can also drill down later on.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We of course we cannot do without the multi-generational ages we have in the workplace of today. Of course, we need to keep people engaged. We need to celebrate our wins. We need to do all of this, especially for those who work hybrid and who work remotely. But one other question that has also been, which people have been asking, and which was also asked, was how can we? I mean, people talk about digital burnout. Is it actually real? Is it okay to expect employees to always be available online? It has been a cause for worry. People are asking, do I always have to be online? I mean, it causes burnout for me. I can't just, if I don't have any client to talk to, if I don't have anything, I mean, I can't just be online from 8 to 5, for example, and all of that. I mean, uh, I don't know. Dr. Lizzie, do you want to speak to this digital burnout? Do we necessarily have to keep people online, all day?
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you're listening from. My system is hanging, so that's why I can't put on my video, and I'm trying to just sort it out. Digital burnout. Hmm. Let me talk from my own experience, right? The way I deal with my own we handle things in my office. It's because sometimes we work remotely, meaning we work hybrid, right? 3 times a week and 2 times offsite. So what we do in those days of when you are working, you're not in the office physically. You have your job, you know what role you're supposed to do. Okay, let me start from when we were actually working remotely. Monday to Friday, we were always at home, and we have check-in period. The check-in period is always by 2 p.m. 2 p.m., whereby you come in and then you tell us whatever it is that you're doing. And then all the meetings start from 11 a.m., right? 11 a.m., wherever you are in the world, you join and you give reports according to your departments, right? Then when it is 2 p.m., those people that have urgent tasks that they're doing, we just want to track it. Where are we at this that you're doing at this point? I don't expect you to be online 8 to 5. If there is, okay, so sometimes we need, except when we wanted to start, that people were like, oh, am I going to stay in front of my system from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.? And then when I'm not doing anything, I'm just there looking at the screen. Oh, my manager is going to call me now. My boss is going to say something now. Yes, because we are not seeing you physically. We might want to say, if you need to step out, sometimes you want to have your bath, sometimes you want to go and get something. If you need to step out, please send a message to your teammate and say, on so time, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., I will not be available. So we don't expect that you're going to stay in front of your system from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. because we know that you can have burnout. Some things we can say, okay, I'm not looking at this screen. I'm having a day. This screen, I'm not talking to anybody. It's not something that we want to go into. So we allow you to just go on, just tell us where you will be at so time. So if you don't need to be in that meeting, or if you are supposed to be in that meeting and you are not there by 2 p.m., you've sent in your apology, oh, I will not be around, I'm going to I'm going to the hospital and all that. And we don't tell you that because you are going to the hospital and because we are working online, you should join the meeting at the hospital. We don't allow that, right? So, and sometimes what we do also to make sure that we keep abreast of everybody, we organize what we call virtual party. Bring your drinks, bring whatever it is that you are eating, wherever it is that you are, just come to the screen and let's see what it is that you are doing, right? We're not talking about work at that period. And you dare not bring anything, oh, sir, or ma, I have an approval on your system, please, can you approve this? We are not telling you to come and talk to us. We just want to have fun. We just want to party. We just want to tell us how you are doing, how you are feeling, which party are you attending by weekend, what it is that you are doing on so day, and all that. That period is for us to check in and find out how everyone is doing. And I think when we did that, it actually helped a lot of people because they were like, oh, so you're not asking me about work. So there's a time I can actually put away everything and just talk about myself and just talk about whatever it is that I'm going through, and somebody's listening to me and all that, and I'm having fun. I'm not under stress, right? So those are the things that we practice, and it actually worked for us. And now that we have 2 times off sites where 3 times a week you come to work, the remaining 2 days of the week you are at home. And I think we still maintain the same thing. we still maintain the same thing and allow people to be free, because these are people that are, although we have a way of checking you to ensure that whatever it is that you meet your targets, and that is that 2 p.m. where we track everything that you are doing at the background, and everybody, we, even though we are not there trying to tell you that, oh, you must do this, you must do that, at your own pace, we allow you to just do whatever it is that you want to do. And at the same time, we say work and having fun at the same time without no pressure. And people still meet their targets.
All right, thank you so much, Izzy. Thank you for insight. Uh, burnout. You don't have to 5, 8, 5. Why? Yes, Dr. Temitope, you were going.
Albert, your audio is very low. You might need to do something. Very, very low.
All right. Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, Dr. Temitope, you were talking earlier about the global stage, the global HR as in practice on the global stage. I would like to ask this. Is globalization still a factor in HR, or is remote work now the new globalization?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Not sure what the question about globalization means, but I will just respond based on my knowledge, and you can probably ask a follow-on question. But by globalization, I think um, the world is trying to embrace best practices. So I think I will use the word best practices in, talent management, people management. And by saying best practices, is just saying what is the likes of the CIPDs? What are they saying? In terms of standardization. Even as Nigerians, we are now in partnership with CIPD, which means our standards needs to, be in line with global best practices. And do we really understand global best practices? And that was what I was saying. There's a lot of work that needs to be done amongst HR folks, business owners, business leaders to embrace this, best practices. And these best practices come across in so many ways, from how we do recruitment to how we manage performance to how we do succession planning to how we even define or shape our culture. In terms of globalization as well, there are 4 generations in the workplace now, and it's really important for HR folks to also really understand how do we manage, these 4 different generations in the workplace. As an HR transformation consultant, I'm even currently working on a project where an organization is struggling with, their compensation and benefits. For example, one of the things we've done for them is break their compensation and benefit framework, their total reward framework, to enable the different generations in the workplace be able to pick and choose what really works for them according to the level or stage of life that they are in. And that is a way of bringing that inclusivity in the workplace and defining the culture, which is also part of globalization. I think earlier on I talked about how where the places I've worked, from Digital, Accenture, where I am now, really, it's been a very long time. I heard about recruiting and you're looking for first class or you're looking for 2-1 or 2-2. It's been a very long time I heard of it. But this is still a very common practice in Nigeria. And if we say we're embracing best practices, what should we focus on? Is it the class of degree, the type of school the people went to, or really does this person have competence? So recruitment has moved on to become competency driven. Even years of experience, if we are being realistic, you have 35 years of experience, right? You are literally almost equivalent to someone who has 10 to 15 years of experience in the now of work, because a lot has changed, a lot has improved. So you also need to keep updating yourself. Speaking of remote work, I think for those that have been very close to me, I've been working remotely since 2019, and I still work remotely. And it's been amazing. It's been fantastic, right? Yes, there's the place of missing people at work and all of that. But really, which will also help me address the issue of, digital burnout and all of that. I feel like this is my work. Exactly where I'm sat now is, where I would sit down, wake up every day. I personally, and this is my opinion, right? I personally don't think there's anything called, I don't think digital workout and burnout would be a big deal. Let me use the word would be a big deal if we have people who are disciplined with what work from home or remote work means. Work from home does not mean sleep at home. Work from home does not mean play at home. And I don't think there's an expectation to be on the system, from 8 to 5, right? There are times I don't have a meeting, till 9, and I literally just stay in bed. Sometimes I probably don't have a meeting. I can cook, I can, step out, take a walk. And, I try to live that balanced life. I take walks, I watch TV, I'm listening to music while I'm not in a meeting. But I think there's also a mindset of work only exists when you have to be in a meeting. And I think that's also a wrong mindset we need to correct. If you have work to do, just do it. Meet your deadlines. I think that's it. And keeping people engaged remotely as well. The global practice now has become, there are so many touch points where, organizations come together, bring people together online, do some social sessions online. And remote work is actually fading away as well. So I try to tell people I'm looking for a remote work, I'm looking for a remote work. I think COVID brought that remote, space, but it's actually fading away. Literally less than 10% of organizations globally now are still operating fully remote. So I also try to discourage people from that mindset of remote work is what I'm looking for or nothing. And also for those that can still work remotely now, you would have built your experience to a certain level. You would hardly see organizations giving a fresh graduate or maybe first 5 years opportunity to work remotely. So those are some of the things that are really happening. The landscape is changing. Talent acquisition is changing. Performance management, even now, performance management has moved from being we are doing performance just focused on appraisals, right, to much more developmental, type appraisals. Appraisals are no more to witch hunt people, but to look for opportunities to develop people. That's why we have things like the monthly or quarterly check-ins that, is just to give feedback. And I think Yemi said something as well. I think the conversations we need to be having, which globally these conversations are beginning to happen now, is leadership, right? We need leaders who can really, really understand, what is changing, why are things changing, who are the people that will be affected, and how can they start bringing more warm, friendly, inclusive people management policies into the workplace. With that, we will be able to, better, healthier organizations. So a lot is really changing. And I just would wrap up by saying, as HR practitioners, we need to also open our minds. We need to also learn, because I find out that it's really difficult, to have to even hire HR people these days, because the mindset is so fixed on this is how it has been done and this is how we are going to continue doing it. So as HR practitioners, I would say forums like this are very essential. We need to probably speak more to ourselves, engage more, and learn. Really, it's important to learn. A lot of times I'm looking to hire HR folks for my organizations, and it will shock you that a lot of HR people do not even understand workforce planning. They don't understand workforce optimization. What we'll typically hear HR people talk about is recruitment, employee engagement, learning and development, performance, and payroll. Even payroll is now being done by people that didn't even go to school, right? What people need to we need to open our minds to, total rewards, even change management. How many change management professionals do we have in the HR space? And we are the custodians of culture. And we cannot talk about culture without talking about change. So I think a lot is changing. We are all on this journey. We all need to catch up with things that are changing. And HR folks, we need to be champions of talent management best practices. Gone were the days when there was a conversation about HR voices being silenced. Nobody's listening to the HR folks. Now we have a voice in the organizations, but how are we using our voices? If the CEO or the COO is making the wrong decision about talent, how are we speaking up? But is it that we are not speaking up, or we don't even know what best practice is? So again, this is a challenge to all of us on this call, including myself. Let's continue to develop ourselves. Let's continue to read and learn and, benchmark best practices and re-engineer it in our specific organizations. I think that was what Temi mentioned, Madam Temi, and I think I love that. Every organization is unique now, right? But we can still benchmark best practices and re-engineer it to however suits our organizations. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Temi. Dr. Yes, thank you for that great insight. Indeed, I agree with you. There are a lot of things that have changed, and in the current the current work landscape, and of course, there are quite a number of changes we should actually adopt, we should actually embrace as well. I totally agree with you on that. So before I proceed, I just want to quickly make mention that Emmanuel Ononiwu is not currently on the panel with us this evening. He has an emergency, so he probably will not be able to make it to this meeting this evening. However, he's able to fine, but we wish him well. Our hearts and minds are with him. Yeyemide, I want to believe that you also agree with Dr. Temitope thoughts on the insight he has shared. I would like to ask, with the many shifts, going on around and all of that, what do you think HR professionals should be learning so as for them to stay relevant in the now world of work? What do you think HR people should start learning? What are the things you think they need to start, embracing the new cultures, the new skills, I think they need to start embracing for them to stay relevant in the new world of work?
Thank you so much for that. I think the first thing I would touch on is the last word you used in terms of relevance and our place as HR professionals. I think one thing I always say is we are business partners with HR expertise. And I think as HR professionals, one key thing we need to be extremely very conscious of is our business acumen, industry acumen, organizational acumen, and also if you look at outside in. So I love the point which has been echoed today on the fact of benchmarking. So not just being internally siloed, but how do you create those opportunities for experimenting with HR teams? And in that space as well, in terms of benchmarking and conversations, it's not a competition anymore, but you can have communities where you share ideas and we come together to, create best practices together, leveraging different organizations that we have across the profession. So I think that's very key. And also staying 3 steps ahead in terms of business acumen, because to make changes in the organization, I would, it's, if you think about the people we partner, if when we partner business leaders, when we partner the organization, they always want to know that you do have a genuine interest in that in the solutions you're giving the department. So it's not just theoretical or HR driven actions, which also comes to something Dr. Timi Tope just touched upon, which is like things like workforce planning, succession planning. If we are not fully aware of those acumens, it would be difficult to provide the right solutions in those spaces. Why do you think your team needs 10 people instead of 5? Or why do you think 5 is the right benchmark across the industry or across your categories or whatever the industry we're talking about? So I think business acumen is something that is very key. I would say as HR professionals as well, we need to do a lot of embracing growth mindsets, and that's just about staying curious, asking questions, challenging and coaching. So we have to be dreamers as HR, but in the space of being dreamers, we need to ensure that it aligns with the right priorities and the right goals that we're trying to use. The third thing I'm learning to develop faster, and something I know that is not going anywhere is this conversation on digital. As we go into the now of working, the future, either way, there's a lot of reliance on things like data, AI, and also how do we, convert that to empathy for HR professionals is very key. Leveraging it, using it to drive decisions that would drive employee actions is very key. Um, and we're very, as a profession, where one of our key activities is to drive that performance culture. But how do we also bring together performance and care is very key. So I think it's that blend, holding people accountable. So we find out a lot of our HR professionals, we either care so much or very or performance driven. But how do we blend it? It's more blending together is what is another thing I think would help us in creating those opportunities. Because if you look at what we said, dealing with globalization, standardized processes, different generations, hybrid, it's a lot, right? So you have to come with those two hats, performance and care, to be able to create the right solutions and intertwine it together so it fits the right buckets for everyone. It's very inclusive. It's very key. The last thing I will talk about is I think one word I always use is the fact that as HR we have to be very global. So when you spoke about globalization, I laughed because I'm currently in a global role where I partner people across about 30 different countries. And what that does is, if we want to standardize processes, if you see yourself as a local person, which is global, but also understanding that local cases and local expertise and local nuances impact different things. So as HR professionals, it's very good to have that mindset as well. So we want to be global, but be very aware of what are the things that are local nuances that would really impact change generally. So I think those are the kind of the skills I think is very key. Like Dr. Tim Tokwe mentioned, things like payroll. We don't really need to there are lots of companies that don't even do payroll anymore. You just have a system that does it, and it goes straight to the bank and straight to people's accounts. So while we're looking at that, we are, like I said, as HR, we have to see 3 steps ahead. So if we don't need payroll roles anymore in some industries, how do we leverage those skills to be part of other departments also? I think that's the last thing I would just say, staying that 3 steps ahead in the way we think through things, the way we have conversations, and the way we impact life. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, I agree with you. Um,
I think your voice has gone in again.
yeah, somebody mentioned that there should be the blend, of course, have empathy and the performance driven. Yes, that was coming from Ajoke or Motayo. Yes, of course, that is indeed true. Um, I'll be asking Dr. Lizzie this now. However, after Dr. Lizzie, other participants we can start, I mean, sending in our questions into the chat box. And for any one of us who probably may want to speak, to just indicate that you want to speak. However, we can start sending our questions in the chat box so that our speakers can attend. So to ask Dr. Lizzie this, Dr. Lizzie, how do we make HR analytics actionable and not just about making reports? Yes, we know that data, we need data we need data to make concise decisions, we need data to make accurate decisions and all of that. But then beyond just, for some people, we just send data and we just make reports and we put in data there, and we don't necessarily, at the end of the day, we don't do anything with this data which we have brought forward. How do we make HR analytics actionable and not just about making reports?
Thank you very much for that question. And what I will say is um, a lot of us that are even HR, we believe in, we ask this question that why is it that what we have, we are not getting it? We go to the boardroom or we go and talk to our MDs, CEOs, and we are not getting feedback or we are not getting results. And we ask this question, why is it that they are discussing in the boardroom and the HR is not there? Okay, so whatever it is that you are doing, I don't know, can you confirm you can hear me, please?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Yeah, because my system is rolling. I don't understand what's wrong with it. Okay, so whatever it is that you are doing as an HR, please ensure that you follow it up to the letter, because whatever action that you take is going to affect the employees. They look up to you. Apart from the MD, you are in between the business and the employees, even though yourself, you are also an employee, right? And whatever it is that they're going to do is also going to affect you in one way or the other. When you have this data and you know the impact of this data on your organization, please can you follow it up to the letter? Break it down. I worked with one of my bosses before, and he says, if you have 1 million naira, you have 1 million naira for people to contribute to. And because when people hear, oh, we need 1 million naira, everybody's, oh, how do we get this money? But can you play with that numbers? Can you play with numbers? Break the 1 million naira into bits. What about if you have 5 people contribute to 200,000? Okay, 5 people cannot contribute to 200. What about if you have 10 people contribute this? Can we have 20 people contribute this? Before you know it, you have somebody that can fit into that and says, oh, okay, even my 5,000 naira can be part of this 1 million naira. And before you know it, you have your 1 million naira. So when you have this data, please, can you break them down into bits? You have the data that says people don't come to work early because of so and so. What can you do about that? Is it that begin to ask questions? So when I have these data in front of me, I'm looking at who are the people, which department is affected with this? Because what I do in my place of work is we break it down. We have this week, we can say which departments, the employees, any of the staff came in early, and sort of we just sort of look at you in the during the meeting and just applaud you or whatever it is that we want to do. And the ones that we have, the employees that came in late, so oh, please ensure that we don't want us to call your name during staff meetings and say these departments, we have the employees coming in late. You don't want to see it on the screen, right? So we encourage people, and by doing that, you break it down into pieces and know what you're supposed to do, which departments this thing is affecting. Can you talk to the team lead? And by the time you talk to the team lead, what can be done to it, and find out, is it something that will help your organization? And let us not be the alpha and omega of everything, or everything must start with HR, must end with HR. And that is where most of us miss it. We get stuck because we don't get support.
All right, I guess we lost.
Because when the team leads find out that, oh, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Although we lost you at some point, but it's fine. You can go ahead now.
Okay, when the team leads find that out, the HR is involving us in matters, they tend to give you their best. They want to be there for you because they know that you are not the one carrying the glory. And when you do all that, you break it down and you find out that, okay, what can be done to this and what can be done to this, and you go ahead to do it and carry everyone along, and even your MD CEOs will respect you for that. We've seen a lot of HR becoming COO, CEO nowadays. So it is what it is. What can you do in your own space with that data that you have? A lot of HR says, "Oh, I'm not into." Even me myself, that is talking to you right now, I wasn't into data at that. Even when I was like, "Oh, I don't like maths," but this is what you are doing, and you have to be involved. Like Stanley said, you have to be involved in the business. You have to talk about the business. So if you don't understand this data, if you don't understand how you can come in your sales department, what are they doing? Have you been attending their meetings? What help can you do? You look at their data, their numbers are not telling. They are not getting the numbers. What can you do to assist them to ensure that these numbers that they have, it is not just ending there? You just scold them and you are not ending there. What can you do to ensure that you have them and they miss their numbers and they hit it, right? So we need to get involved and ensure that everyone in our organizations, they are also involved in whatever it is that we're doing and carry them along. I don't know if you heard me.
Yes, definitely. Yes, we heard you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Lee. Thank you for sharing with us. Yes, I don't know if anyone has a question at this time.
Your audio is going faint again. Your
So I
audio.
don't know if has question from the audience, from participants. Does anyone have question we want to contribute, we want to ask? Then before we go to contributions.
There is a hand up. Valentine Onwumelu raised his hand.
Didn't see that. Okay, Valentine, please, you have the floor.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for this session. And just like the name goes, it's a clinic. I love the fact that we're treating issues, we're treating sicknesses, we're solving challenges. So my question is just straight to the point. How do you continue in the drive? How do you continue being excited to drive required change? How do you continue to drive the expected change you desire to see in a business when you are constantly facing kickbacks, kickbacks from top level, and then kickbacks from fellow colleagues who have become used to complacency, who have become used to not doing the right thing. And then gradually it appears like you are being very difficult. So how do you stay excited? How do you still keep that fire burning to ensure that you are driving the right policy? You are doing the right thing, but then you are having kickbacks because you have persons who have become very used to not doing the right things, and then you are then seen like you are the problem. How do you stay on that lane?
Maybe I should attempt taking that before anyone else will step in. If I get your question clear, as an HR professional, you're trying to do the right thing, but some people just never do the right thing. Some people just never, put in the efforts, and then start to look like the bad thing. And I mean, this may not be what a lot of people want to hear, but this is always my opinion. Um, Remove yourself as an individual. And I think again, this is one area I always say in Nigeria we are far from. We're still very emotional in our HR practices, right? We're extremely emotional about it. And I think if we have a policy that stipulates this is how we operate, this is how we run, if we have a policy that stipulates this is what performance looks like, this is what behavior looks like, right? Why is someone who is not following it giving us headache? when the policy is clearly there, doesn't mean we have policies, but we are not making use of our disciplinary processes. Does it mean some people are above the law in the organizations? Because some of these things happen. Sometimes a law would apply to one person, then it does not apply to another person, and it just begins to make HR profession look like a joke, right? So for me, I would say in such a situation, always go back to the policy. What does the policy say? If this person is not pulling their weight, what is your performance management policy, right? How do you address such an issue? Do you just let it slide based on sentiment or emotions? Or this is what the policy says. If you do not do this, then you'll be out of the business. So for me, it's always going back to the policy, and there's really no sentiment when it comes to that. I was particularly hated at some point when I think when I first became a manager. There was a decision I made, and people were really, really mad at me at that point in time. And someone was fired, right? I recommended someone fired. Everybody was like, TRB is just bottled water, it's just bottled water. And I felt that was so emotional, that was sentiment. Everybody was looking at bottled water, but I was looking at theft, and there's a policy around theft. So I think as HR professionals, we need to also be firm. We need to be firm in our decisions. We need to go back to the policy, and we need to advocate for doing the right thing. Like Dr. Lizzie said, a lot of our voices are not being heard at the table. And sometimes with the nature of the work I do, consulting for C-suite, CEOs and the boards and the likes, when they talk about HR people, it breaks my heart because they'll be like, this person, we have an issue of performance. This person is always coming to tell me we need to recruit, we need to recruit. This person is not even asking, do we have the budget? You know, is recruitment the only solution to performance gaps? You know, so I think we just need to dial up and remove our personality. I put something funny in the chat. I think a lot of people have seen HR profession as a welfare function, where we're just HR is not a people person's career. And I would boldly say it any day, anytime. HR is a strategic function, and I think the more and the earlier we start to embrace that strategic role of HR and detach that, oh, I'm a people person, that's why I'm doing HR. We will keep missing it because you think you're a people person, you want to please people, you want people to like you, you want people to be happy. Let's focus on policy, and we would get rid of, bad behavior within the organizations. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Temitope.
I think Madam Temi's hands are up.
Okay, yeah, I think I would want to actually add to what Dr. Temitope has said. That's actually spot on. I used to tell my mentees that if the reason you are doing HR is because you feel that people like you and they come to tell you all their life problem, all their marital issues, and their generational issues, is if that is the reason you want to do HR, then you should reconsider, because you will not be able to function properly. You will have emotions running here and there. All right. In terms of change management, change starts with you, the HR. People used to say that when people come to HR, who does HR go to? We go to God. All right. So change starts with you. And as a change management person myself, where I had the opportunity to bring in this change to a multinational that needed to be to experience that change, I experienced that communication is key when we talk about change management. In fact, communication is bedrock, communication is mostly important, and communication is like the tool for success when we talk about change management. Because just like Dr. Temitope said, policies has to be in place. So when you think that your employees actually understand the policies because you've sent it to them, they have access to it, you're just, I'm sorry to say, you're just bluffing. You need to communicate to them in the language they understand. All right. If you want these processes and policies to be implemented. So for me, I would say that for change to be effective, communication also has to be in place. All right, thank you.
All right, I think I had my hand up, so let me just dive in before Albert comes back in. I think to Valentine's question was around how do you keep yourself still, excited and give that drive. I've led a lot of change projects, and I think in the last 2 3 years, if you're in the loop of Unilever news, you know that we've been going through a lot of changes, and I've been right in the center of that. But I think one thing I would touch, and I want to first of all re-echo what Dr. Tim Tobek said about removing yourself from the activity or from the process you're trying to change. It's not about you. And I think my very first change program was when I was in a local role in Nigeria. And I remember how, the businesses were trying to say, okay, how do we use it as a talent refresh? So it wasn't really about the structure, it was about the talent refresh. And then I did one other change project that was not about talent. And I was like, wow, we have a lot of great talent who are in roles that do not fit into the structure. How do we repurpose them for new roles? Just not separating to say, oh my God, I'm going to lose great talent. But I changed the mindset to see how do I repurpose them to apply for the newer, greater roles that are coming up. So changing that mindset is very key. I didn't make it like, oh my, attrition is going to go down, and making it a personal KPI for myself is one. The second thing I would say is in terms of change, remember that while we're custodians of change, the change is a business change, it's an organizational change. As HR professionals, we need to always come back to the drawing board to know that even if we draft the strategy or we draft the right change management process for each activity or each transformation project we want to do, if you don't have the leaders sponsoring or being in front of those conversations, it wouldn't move because it would seem like HR has come again and HR just wants to do, you know. I think you get that a lot. And a lot of times, I'm sure there was one time that on social media when it was raining in Nigeria, people started this dear HR, dear HR. And I remember myself and my husband, because my husband is also a HR professional, we said, it's their line manager, it's their business. Because why are you telling HR? HR already gave the policies. But if rain is falling and there's flood, you can't do the work. We have a remote policy. You should be able to work at home. But what people fail to realize is it's not their HR, it's their line manager and it's their business leader. So how do we always ensure that the leaders are in front? The HR professional and the business leader in every organization. That's why it's called partnering. So I see it as boyfriend girlfriend relationship, husband wife. You might fight, but to the children, they must not know you're fighting. You do the fight at the back, but when you stand in front, you come with one voice. And the business should be the voice leading. HR is the coach, is the catalyst and supporting it. So I just wanted to echo that. And that gives you that drive. It always helps you come back to your place as a HR of facilitating, coaching the leader, pushing the agenda, and not being the one that has to, carry all the baggages, all the negative of the change, but not also the positive of the change. I just wanted to add that. So how do you create coaching mechanisms for the line manager, facilitation mode, create other things that excite around that particular project that you are in control of also helps. I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Emily. Just to add to what you've said, in terms of change management, we all talk about change management, but I feel like, and I learned this over time in my, HR consulting career, that the way a lot of people use HR, change management is wrong. So change management has become something that we bring on board as an afterthought versus change management should actually be a pre-thought for any project. So most times when we try to bring change management as an afterthought, then it becomes crisis management. So I think it's really important for us to also, in addition to what everyone has said, to also always remember as HR professionals, whenever we are introducing change management, we should always think about it from the beginning of whatever innovation initiative we want to bring on board. what is the change impact? What is the change that is happening? How is it going to impact the organization? How is it going to impact the people, the system, the processes, the finances? Who is going to be impacted? What level of impact is it going to have? And I think we would also begin to make more sense to our leaders, in terms like the CEOs and the C-suite team. I also just thought to add that to what every other person has said. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Temitope. Of course, indeed, change management should not be an afterthought. It should be a thought that it should be part of the plan from the beginning. Otherwise, it becomes crisis management. Of course, yes, I agree with you totally on that. HR has I mean, in a lot of organizations, HR, just like the other speaker said, I think that was Day, that things are happening in departments and they are calling on the HR where there are team leads, and you begin to wonder, I mean, why should you be calling HR when somebody did not come to work? You are calling on HR, somebody came late to work. You are calling on HR, somebody has done this or that, and then the next person you are calling is the HR. Does the person not have a team lead? Somebody is not performing, you are asking the HR why. Have you asked the team lead what's the problem or what the challenge? I mean, if there are challenges that person is going through, all the time it's always HR, HR, HR. And that will take us to this question, which somebody asked: How can HR move beyond just admin tasks to becoming real business partners? I don't know if Temi Tope Abolade would want to answer this. How can HR move beyond admin tasks to becoming real business partners? Because it appears HR is just seen as, yes, they are just a welfare department, they perform just administrative tasks and all of that. So how do HR move beyond just admin tasks to become real business partners?
Thank you, Albert. And thank you, whoever it is that asked that question. You see, HR has evolved. HR has really evolved from being, somebody mentioned there that HR has, I think some people see HR as a welfare function. That's the admin function in HR. HR has evolved a lot. And we as HR professionals, we need to accept that change. We're no longer personnel managers or personnel officers or whatever. We are now strategic business partner. And first of all, what is a business partner? That's what you would ask. All right. You need to know about the business you are in. You need to know the business, the in-depth of that business. Currently, I work in oil and gas. All right. I think I've spent about 3 years in oil and gas. My experience have spanned across FMCG, manufacturing, IT, and the likes. If I talk to you about oil and gas now, you actually think I am the MD of one oil and gas company. And it's because I sat myself down and I know that I needed to understand the business of oil and gas. My company currently operates in the upstream, downstream, and midstream areas in oil and gas. I understand what my company does. I could sit with professionals and say that this is what my company does, this is what we don't do. Because there are a lot of businesses in oil and gas, and there are some that you will do as a company and some that you don't do as an organization. So you need to understand the organization that you find yourself in. That is where you become strategic. That is where you move from being the ordinary HR to being the strategic HR. Because when you understand what the business is all about, that's when you understand the needs of the organization, the needs of, not even the needs of the organization, the need of the business itself. So you have to give yourself, you will see that some, when I was in FMCG, I was talking to an HR professional who was also a competitor in FMCG. And we were talking about the profit in the diaspora, how the profit in Nigeria has gone up compared to the profit in the diaspora. And other professionals who are not HR were looking at us weird. And they were like, how do you understand? How do you understand the profit? How is it that you're able to say this about the product, your product? And I'm like, I don't understand. Of course, I'm not a business development person. I'm not into marketing or I'm HR. I should understand. And that is where we have conflicts with the other people in the other departments. Yes. Because that's where they see HR. They see HR in the backspace. They see HR as fire, hire and fire. They see HR as we want to do, thank God it's Friday. HR would conduct it or something like that. But when they see that you understand how the company makes profit, they look at you and they are surprised. But that's actually how much we have evolved. HR, and see, we really need to understand that HR has evolved. HR has evolved. That's why you see that most Gen Zs, they understand HR better in a particular light, because they've actually they research a lot, they read a lot than some people, and that's why they understand the involvement of HR. So we as HR professionals trying to move from the traditional way of doing things to the much more strategic way of doing things, you need to understand the business. And another thing that I also want to mention is that we should be flexible. In being strategic, you have to be flexible. All right. If you have the opportunity to move from one industry to the other, or you're moving from one organization to the other in the same industry, you should know that that industry may not have the same culture. All right. You have to evolve around the culture of the next organization, not the next industry now, the next organization in the same industry that you're moving into. They might be in the same industry, but they might have different culture. And for you to be strategic, you have to understand the culture, you have to understand the business of that organization so that you can function perfectly and effectively and also efficiently there. So you have to understand the culture, you have to understand the business, which is the core in making you a strategic partner. So I can tell you that most times they think that finance should earn more than HR. All right, they think that some other department should earn more than HR. So in that payroll structure, you will see that in the echelon of the structure, in terms of what they earn, HR has the limit. The HR manager or the HR director is the lowest paid. It does not work like that again. Just like I think Yemide mentioned, HR can now be CEOs, HR can now be MDs, HR can now be the whatever, the top director of an organization. All right. So if you don't understand the business, there's no way you can be strategic. There's no way you can also talk when others are saying things at the management meeting, at the round table. So for you to be strategic, you need to have an in-depth understanding of the industry that you find yourself. You need to communicate better, and you need to be effective wherever it is you find yourself. All right, for you to move from that traditional HR to strategic HR. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. That answers the question. Yes, indeed. Understanding the business and speaking the language of the business and how the company makes profit. Of course, indeed, as HR people, we have evolved. We have gone beyond just the welfare department, just the department of hiring and firing. We have gone beyond just the department where for every issues every staff has, they go straight to the HR. We are strategic partners. We are business partners of the organization, and we of course also always have to be at the board, at the table whenever strategic decisions are being made. Yes, I don't know. Do we have any other question from any other participants?
I think there's a question in the chat session, in the chat room.
Okay, how can I effectively manage staff expectations around engagement activities such as celebrating awareness days or team achievements when the organization does not prioritize or support non-work related initiatives? So how can we effectively manage staff expectations around this engagement activity, especially when the organization does not prioritize or support such? So I wouldn't know. Does anyone want to
Yes, let me answer this. Let me just put my words out there for this. Please, HR, we need to understand that everything is not about money. From what Madam Femi said, you need to understand the business, the organization you're working with and you're working in. If the organization is not, if the organization is not making money, and everybody loves 5G, you want to do TGIF, and your organization is not making money, and you want to go and tell the MDCU, we want to do TGIF, please support us, or we want to celebrate this. And he asks you, where is the money going to come from? If you understand the business and you speak the language of the business and you put in your efforts to ensure that whatever it is that we are doing, even though you are not a salesperson, you are not a marketer, but you understand what the marketing team are going through. You understand how to sell this market. Which markets are we selling today? Which customer are we talking to? Sometimes I sit with my sales team people to talk to customers. Oh, we saw that we want to tell you to come and buy our products, come and do this, come and do that. You learn. They do a play role. You want to know how to engage this customer. That is how you want. That is how you're interested in the business. And when there is no money, please don't make it look as if like I think it's Yeye Mide that said it. Don't make it look as if it is your business. It is your problem. Yeah, you make it look as if you are so emotional about it. Oh, I want you to come to work and I want you to do this. And the business doesn't have money. Please, can you do a meeting and just clap for the person? Can you have a meeting? If there's something that you can do, can you do a flyer? Canvas is there. Design something for this person. Put it on your platform. Put it in on your what's it called? Dashboard or your notice, your whatever it is that you have in your office that people can see. Put the person's picture there. Oh, this is the winner for this month. Put the person's picture there. That does not cost you money. And when you know that, and let the people know that we are not making money, it is why we employees, I want to look like a good HR. We want them to see us as a good HR. Oh, she's very good. She's not. When you begin to lie to them, that is when they need to go away. They don't even understand who to believe any longer. Please, when the business is not making money, let them know that the business is not making money. This is how much we have. And if you spend this money, that means you are not going to make money. You're not going to be paid salary next month. And nobody wants to be owed salary. So let them know where you are. Where does this company stand? Where does the company stand? And anything that you can do that will not cost you money, please start it. Call yourself together. There was a place I was working, and I got there. People were leaving the organization in droves. Like, what happened? Is no money, nothing is motivating anybody. Okay, what else can we do? And we spoke to the MD. MD said, look, is our paper. Meanwhile, before now, the MD has been telling them, oh, we increase salary, and people were hoping on that, oh, we're going to increase salary next month. Whereas there was no money in the accounts. If they dare increase that salary in the next 2 months, it is not sustainable. They will be owing staff salary. And we have to bring it to the staff. This is where we are. What can we do? You are here because this business exists. If this business collapsed today, you will no longer be here. Yes, it is easier to say, yes, we find another job. But you're going to be added to do those numbers that are looking for jobs outside. So wherever you are, it is easier said. We say that when you are, it is easier to look for a job where you are still working. That is, you know that, oh, you are not under pressure. So please let us be able to understand where we are. Where does the business stand? And like Albert said, speak the language of the organization. Know the numbers. When you are making profits, know where you are making profits. When you are not making profits, know where you are not making profits. When you know where the organization stands, you'll be able to know Do we need to reduce staffs? Do we need to add staff? Where do we need to add more manpower? And you understand that with these people, if we bring in more people, we can be able to make profits. Oh, okay, we don't need you here. This is where we need you. You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in this place. So we'll be able to understand what the organization needs. And when you begin to make money, then you can be able to celebrate them. That's okay, we make money, you can do shout outs. Call the person when the person is doing birthday. It doesn't cost you anything. Sing for them as they are coming in. Oh, today is Temi's birthday and we don't have money to buy cake. As Temi is coming in, can you please meet Temi on the road in front of the office and speak and sing a happy birthday to the person? You've made even better than cake or whatever it is that you want to do. So please start from somewhere and grow from that place. I hope this helps.
I think Dr. Lee's just did a mic drop moment. I think she has covered everything that I want to say. So I wouldn't say much. I think all I'll just say in this thing, just to echo, I think sometimes we're in the mindset of we have to wait for the business to do some things. And the truth is sometimes the business is waiting for HR to instigate some things. So I think the business right now the world is VUCA, and I always add the D's. VUCA is disruptive, is volatile, is agile. It's fast moving. So some things are not even top of mind for business leaders. And how do you also help them in terms of, I think somebody said, stay connected in terms of change with your finance department, your supply chain, with operations. And you can know where there's extra budgets to chip in some other things and take charge of it. And to Dr. Lizzie's point, not everything is monetary. You have monthly meetings, monthly connects. Put everybody whose birthday is on that month inside inside one slide and let everybody clap. You have a HR intern or somebody who has extra capacity. Let the person be sending personalized Teams messages or emails on special celebrations, long service, everything. Just find creative ways to make it exciting. Like onboarding activities does not have to be expensive. What can you do in terms of finding bodies, create employee resource groups, let people talk together, and divide it amongst your HR team. So that's something I do. Like for the functions I partner, my entire team is responsible for each pillar of HR. If it's talent, if it's culture, if it's engagement, if it's capability, and just divide it. That's the squad lead. And the other thing to do is, I think we also feel like as HR, we need to do everything. Also have squads within the people you partner, not just fully HR people. So for example, in my team, we have a talent squad and a learning stakeholder. We have members of finance function, which I partner as part of the entire squad. So it's just one person from my team that sits there. Every other person there is either different countries, different categories, different management levels of finance, and they make up the squad. Whatever you want to do in terms of that activity, bring your plan for the year. We look at it as a leadership team and we know what we want to agree on. Some of them might not be monetary, some of them might just be coffee chats. With hold your leadership team accountable. And the second thing I'll just say before I hand over to Madam Timmy is data. We spoke about data. I'm very big on data. And I'll give an example. We have a team we call Corporate Center Finance. And these are teams that consist of different nationalities, different people. They just come, people don't feel together. And I looked at the last engagement survey, and you'll see that every trend showed that this is a particular team that has the least numbers, list this, list that, and create that burning platform if you really need budget for it. If you need something to be important for yourself, you need to create the call to action and the burning platform. So those are sometimes it might not work, but while you create that burning platform, start, like Dr. Lee said, start with what is in your own control. And if they cannot create money at that budget at that time, then create proactive time. So block their calendars for 3 months ahead. And the other thing I try to do is at the beginning of the year, I ask my team to create the list of time you need from leadership team's calendar. And I send it to my CFO because I know the whole year he would have other activities. But if it has been in calendar a year before in planning, what's going to happen? Instead of canceling it completely, they will look for an alternative date for you to have activities. So I just wanted to share that food for thought. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think, Madam Temi, you are raising your hand. So before you speak, I would just like to, this last question, I would like you to speak to this last question. Okpadokun said he's asking this on behalf of a friend. He said, I have a friend who works as an HR professional in an organization that has not paid um, staff their May salaries, and now it is the end of June. As a result, many employees have been requesting to work remotely until the outstanding salaries are paid. However, the internal control team has been raising concern about the increasing rates of absenteeism, and management is beginning to place the blame on him as the HR lead. In this situation, how can he effectively manage employee absenteeism, address staff concerns, and also navigate the pressure from management?
Thank you, Albert. Thank you so much. Adeola Okpadokun, that's a very sensitive question because we're talking about salaries, all right? Salaries have not been paid for June. This is, for May, and this is June, and you want employees to come to work. I don't know how to help you. Sincerely, I don't know how to help you. But because you are HR and this thing also falls on your table, all right, what I think you can do, because if they are not paid, how do you expect them to get money to come to work or to go to work? So what I think you should do is, first of all, know the reason why salaries have not been paid. Maybe as a result of maybe clients are not paying, or at that particular moment, the organization is not making profit. So of course they cannot pay salary. Then another thing, I've only worked in an organization, just one, in my 17 years of experience, and the odd place I've worked in one organization that paid salaries on the 4th. All right. And see, somebody put in the comment section that, why haven't you resigned? There are no jobs outside. And so when, by the 1st, of course, we used to pay salaries on the 25th and on the 27th if it falls on a weekend. By the 28th, when salaries were not paid, I sent out a very, very well-worded email. People want you to communicate. I sent out, and you see, people are passing my office, and they're using corner eye to look at me. They're passing, and they will say, well done, madam. I know what they were actually trying to say. So I had to send out a very well-worded email. They were expecting it. So if your friend has not sent out that well-worded email to say that you understand what they feel, but this is what the company is going through, you will not see anybody in the office. Because I kid you not, they are waiting for that email from you. I bet you. And that email I sent the email on the 1st. I'd already communicated with the MD. I'd communicated with the financial controller, and I asked them to give me dates. They gave me, of course, as a management staff, I knew the reason why salaries were not paid, because I understand the business. So your friend has to understand what is happening, why salaries were not paid, because the company is not making profit, or because something is not wrong, something is not right somewhere. All right. So if you are now, I now said that, boss, that's the MD, when with these salaries, when do you think it will be paid? So I put it there on my neck. Salaries will be paid on the 4th. And God, of course, I was praying to God that they don't mess up. I apologize. And to God be the glory, salaries were paid on that day, and at least it was like an opportunity for them to trust what HR said, because HR said that salaries would be paid on the 4th. So I was on the financial controller's neck and the MD's neck to make sure that whatever it is the case, salaries has to be paid. And if you can negotiate with your boss, Oga, please, can we pay half? Or in May, can we, even if it is just half for May, let us, because you'll be surprised then that people are waiting to collect that salary. They are leaving. Some people will not even have another job. They will just feel like the fact that the company can no longer pay May and June, and they are not hearing anything. Nobody's communicating anything to them. They don't know why. The salespeople, they don't want to care whether the company is making profit or not. The other departments, supply chain, they don't know, because actually it is not in their position to know. You as HR have to know if the company is making, and you have to communicate to them. They would appreciate it more that they are hearing from HR that there are issues, you understand their problem, you feel for them, because they also know that you're an employee and has also not collected salary. You need to let them know that you did not collect salary, because they will think that HR has collected something. You'll be surprised at what your employees think in their mind when you are not communicating to them. All right, so I think that is very important. Let your friend send that very important mail. Speak to the MD or the chairman or whoever is in charge. Negotiate whether they can pay half, all right, or when will the salaries be paid. Know why salaries have not been paid, maybe because of shortage of profit or whatever, and put it in that email. Let them know that you feel for them. And you have to go to the extreme point of calling some people and say that, see, this is what is happening. We have to just manage. I'm serious. If you do that, there will be a change. Maybe not 100%, but at least you will see some changes in where people, when they see that you feel what they are feeling, they will start coming to work. And when Dr. Lizzie and Madam Yeyemide has actually done very well in terms of that employee engagement. And if that the person that asked that question looks at the chat box, you see where somebody said that I think somebody should listen to this thing, this chat. The person is always looking for money. And I really laughed, because that's what some people think HR does. We spend money. There are a lot of ways that you can actually do employee engagement without spending a dime. Just like Dr. Lizzie said, you can celebrate birthdays, create a WhatsApp group, celebrate birthdays. You know, adopt somewhere that they don't do that. Two things: there was no HMO, there was no celebration, there was no employee engagement. Apparently, the MD did not know, because the MD was actually bothered about bringing in project and paying salaries. So I went with data why we should be doing HMO. Got a very fantastic HMO package that gave us a good discount. And I went with data to the MD that, sir, your people will run away. Let's do this. I got good discount, and of course. So that is one. Two is, you don't have to do an employee engagement with so much money. Sometimes it's just little recognition here and there, just like she mentioned. Celebrate birthdays. You see, when your friend is celebrating birthdays and you don't call them, do you know how they tell you? You didn't call me on my birthday. Yesterday was my birthday. That's how your employees too feel when they are not celebrated. You will be surprised that the happy birthday they get from the organization is the only happy birthday they will get on their birthday. Maybe they don't have friends, they don't socialize. So it is very important that you can do a group email where you celebrate somebody and everybody gets it, and they can talk to the person or call the person. And somebody in supply chain is calling somebody in finance to wish her happy birthday on their birthday. It will go a long way. All right. And I have an app then that time where we did this walking around 10,000 steps a day. And the person that is able to make that 10,000 steps a day, you put the person on email that we celebrate so person, because this person has been able to make 10,000 steps per day this yesterday. And you see all of them running, working the whole of Lagos, because they want to be celebrated on the company website or on the company email because they made that 10,000 steps. You will be surprised, because number one, you also have to think as an employee that also wants to be engaged. You have to, when we celebrate HR days, you will see people saying that HR is the cook, HR is the mommy, is the daddy, is the thinker. You have to be able to think of ways to do engagement without having to spend anything. There are a lot. You have to network. There are a lot of people on AHLP that you can talk to. You'll be surprised at the insight. And this is why this clinic is also very important, because you get a lot of insight on what to do without spending a dime, and your employees will be engaged. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam.
Can I add a little to it?
Just briefly, please, Dr. Lizzie, because we have our time is fast spent. Just briefly, go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Okpadoko Two things I'm going to just say. Number one, after you sent the email to staff, but I'm reading from here now. You said the friend had sent in the emails. All right. We spoke about data. Can you go to your MD with your data? Sir, because we did not pay money in May, the internal control that is asking you to do this, was it paid? Because if you're not paid, like Tammy said, where do you want them to come to work? How do you want them to come to work? Which money are they going to use to come to work? So present this data to him, and can you look at the ways in which you can cut costs? Can you go hybrid? Look at where, okay, if you go 3 times a week, it will reduce our costs. If it reduces our costs, we can divert the money to this. The money we are using to pay diesel, money we are using to run the office, we can divert it to this and we make money. Secondly, the people that are owing you money, I don't know the kind of business the organization is doing. Can the sales team, the marketing team, send them a letter, remind them, if your money is 100,000, can you please begin to pay bit by bit? And as they are paying bit by bit, divert maybe 1% of that money. If it's 100,000 they pay, 1% of 100,000, how much it is, put it in another place. Just be that when it's time for you to pay salary, you will not be, the company will not be struggling. And like, what is the immediate thing? Maybe whatever money that they have now, like she said, please let them pay maybe half for May and look at the ways they can do other things. I think that will help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lizzie. With this, we will be coming, we are gradually getting close to the end of this session for today. So I just want to quickly make mention that if we want certificate for this session, we can quickly go to the chat box. The link for the certificate is there being displayed. We can get our certificate in 48 hours. Let us also be reminded that this session is certified. We have 3 general recertification units, which has been approved by HRCI. So let us go to the comment section and to the chat box for us to click on the link so as to get make payment for our certificates. Also, I would also like to make mention. That our conference is coming on. Our conference is coming on in August from 28th to 30th. It's a 3-day program, and so it's both virtual and physical. I mean, the day 1 and day 2 is virtual, that is 28 and 29. While the 3rd day, which is the 30th, it's a gala night, and it's going to be happening at Radisson Blue Hotel Ikeja. You can visit our AHRP website, www.ahrp.org/conference, to make registration. For members, it is just 50,000 naira. Only one non-members to pay 60,000 naira. At this point in time, I want to sincerely appreciate all of our panelists, Dr. Temi, Dr. Temitope, Dr. Lizzie, Madam Temi, Temitope, Ablade. I want to sincerely appreciate each and every one of us for being on this session this evening. Also, for our participants, we sincerely appreciate you also for participating on this session. On behalf of the management and the leadership team of the AHRP, I want to say a special thank you to each and every one of you. Until we come your way again, next month, the month of July, we shall be, since our conference, of course, is getting close, we'll be having our pre-conference master classes. We want to encourage all of us also to be a part of the master classes. See you again next month, and do have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.